Well, get ready for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Ron DeSantis is talking about foot fetishes. A story has become somewhat prominent lately about Ron DeSantis's footwear. He often wears these boots that really boost him height-wise, and so people have been making fun of that. And we're going to get to him trying to spin this in sort of a sassy way on Newsmax, and it's pretty odd to see. But I do want to make something clear up front. I care about Ron DeSantis' horrible policies, the Florida abortion ban, permitless carry targeting the LGBTQ community, busing migrants from Texas for some reason to other states as a stunt, exploiting human lives in that fashion, etc. I don't care about any insecurities he has about his height. I talked about this on yesterday's bonus show, but unfortunately, people do have these biases when it comes to how they judge politicians, and height plays into that. So again, with all my distaste for Ron DeSantis, if he wants to try to look taller, go for it. That doesn't mean, however, it's not still sort of funny to see how much attention this is all getting and how uncomfortable he gets when the subject comes up. So he went on Newsmax and gave one of the weirdest interviews I've seen in a long time, responding to all the chatter about his big boy boots, you could say. And without yet disclosing the context, let me just tease what we're about to watch a little bit, and then I'll give you some of the background you need to know. So in the clips we're going to look at, he'll talk about foot fetishes, talk about how Trump doesn't have the balls to do something, and says that he'll put a boot on his head for some reason. Okay, we'll get to that. But first, let me show you where this controversy sort of became a lot more focused on in recent days, if you want to call it a controversy. DeSantis appeared on the PBD podcast and was confronted about his footwear. And as a reminder of what this moment looked like, again, we watched on the bonus show yesterday, but here's this, and then we'll get back to the subject of this video.
I'm sure your marketing team points out how they're trying to troll you in the marketplace. Okay, I'm sure they're doing that. Can you bring this one clip? I know you were on, what do you call it? On, what was it? Bill Maher, and Bill Maher talked about the boots. I've seen you walk with these boots. Go ahead and play this clip. This on TikTok went viral. It doesn't have 1 million views. It doesn't have 10 million views. This thing's got 1.2 million likes. And some people are wondering,
what are they? I don't even, I haven't seen that.
They've not shown this to you. Okay,
no.
What they're trying to say with this is that in your boots, you have heels.
No.
That's what they're trying to say.
Those are just standard off the rack, Lucchese.
How tall are you? How tall are you, Governor? How tall
5'11".
5'11"? Okay. Why don't you wear tennis shoes and dress shoes?
I do wear tennis shoes when I work out. Yeah, 100%.
You do?
Yep.
Okay.
So obviously very uncomfortable. Again, not something I would be interested in asking a dangerous and dishonest politician or any politician if I were in the room with them. A lot of other things I would rather talk about, but definitely entertaining to see DeSantis' visible discomfort. So then he had a few days to decide how he was going to respond to this subject. And he got his sassy remarks all ready to go, and he needs to show, I'm not insecure, I'm confident. Here's what he had to say.
2 wars that we're kind of funding, and they want to talk about how tall you are. Sir, respond, please.
Well, yeah, look, Eric, this is no time for foot fetishes. We've got serious problems as a country.
So I guess he's saying that he believes the focus on his boots and the way that they boost his height might have something to do with a foot fetish with DeSantis' feet, which is not something I wanted to think about today. Yikes. Next clip.
So Donald Trump and a lot of his people have been focusing on things like footwear. I'll tell you this, if Donald Trump can summon the balls to show up to the debate, I'll wear a boot on my head. This is a time for substance. This is a time for us to debate the issues that matter to the American people. And the question is, are you able to fight for them, which we have done in Florida? Are you able to win those fights, which we have been able to do in Florida? And are you able to lead to a better tomorrow? We've done that in Florida, and we'll do that for the United States of America.
So he'll wear a boot on his head, he says, if Trump will show up to the debate. Now, I agree. I want to see Trump show up to the debate. It seems like he's pretty set on not doing so. The ratings aren't great, and no one really cares about it when he's not there. So showing up, yes, a lot more attention would then be given, but it would be an opportunity for something to go wrong for Trump, even though, again, I want him to show up as well. Okay, so he says he doesn't want people to focus on things like his footwear. Fair enough. Let's hear what he had to say during the same interview on one of the important issues.
Dollars in debt. The House is taking money from the IRS to be able to give to Israel because we got to stop adding so much debt. So I think they've been really responsible. It's also important we say.
And there we go. I did a whole in-depth segment on why this idea of pairing Israel funding with defunding the IRS is absolutely absurd. You can find that on the YouTube channel. I think it's titled, "This is Ridiculous," which indeed it is. But to quickly summarize once again, Republicans' obsession with defunding the IRS, especially in response to Biden increasing funding in the Inflation Reduction Act, only serves to do one thing, and that's allow for more wealthy tax cheats to get away with tax fraud. The extra funding directed at the IRS is being focused on going after individuals who are, number one, not paying their lawfully obligated taxes, and number two, happen to be making a lot of money so they could afford to pay the amount they're supposed to. And by funding the IRS more, we actually make a profit. More money comes back to the US government in tax revenue that we should be getting, again, lawful obligated taxes than it initially took to fund the IRS. We talked about in my last segment on this, the fact that when you put together all of the outstanding taxes, we won't get estimated unless we invest in initiatives like this. $7 trillion over the next decade we're going to miss out on in tax revenue that we're supposed to be getting. People are illegally not paying. Think about how much we could do with $7 trillion extra dollars in the next 10 years. But Republicans have been obsessed with undoing what Democrats and Biden did in terms of this extra funding. And so they've been pushing this ridiculous idea to justify this opposition to this obviously good policy that Biden's creating with this money, some IRS army to harass MAGA. The 87,000 IRS agents are going to come to MAGA's houses. It's complete nonsense. And in the meantime, what they're actually doing, unbeknownst to a lot of their supporters, is trying to protect wealthy tax cheats. And to intertwine funding to Israel with defunding the IRS is such a blatant example of this desperation. By the way, the House did pass that bill, so now we'll be observing a showdown between the Democratic-led Senate and the Republican-led House over that provision. And the Republicans pretend to be fiscally responsible, but then are willing to have the deficit increase because we won't be getting tax revenue we could be getting, again, from people who can afford to be paying the amount that they should. By the way, here was a Republican congressman getting confronted about this after the bill was passed, that again would take $14.3 billion out of the IRS budget to fund this Israel package instead of just not linking the two. And Caitlin Collins asks, hey, you know this is estimated to add to the deficit because you're taking resources away from the IRS and hindering its ability to take in as much money in tax revenue as it could. And Mike Lawler says, nah, I don't think so.
But it does add to the deficit, does it not? If this had passed as is with the IRS spending cuts, does that not add to the deficit, Congressman Lawler?
With all due respect, the CBO scoring has often been wrong. And the reality is that cutting spending is not going to add to the deficit here. We have a responsibility to pass aid to Israel. The Speaker put that forth on the floor today. It garnered bipartisan support. Obviously, the Senate has their idea of what they're going to do, and we're going to negotiate and go from there. But you know, I don't really, frankly, understand all the hubbub about this. At the end of the day, we're still going to have to pay for this one way or the other, whether it's included as a standalone bill or if we show the pay for in the bill.
Yeah, well,
so we're going to have to get there somehow.
I should note, everyone always criticizes the CBO when they say something that they don't like. Both parties do.
So he falls back on, oh, well, I just don't believe the estimate is accurate. And then says, I don't think cutting spending will add to the deficit, which is a phrase he used because ordinarily that would make sense, right? How could cutting spending increase the deficit? Well, a rare situation in which that is the case is when you cut spending to an entity that requires those funds to hire enough people to go out and get more tax revenue. So in this case, yes, cutting funding to the IRS is going to increase the deficit. But they're the fiscally responsible ones. Come on. Before you go, don't forget to become a member at lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That gains you access to the bonus show Monday through Friday. Plus, follow me on Threads at Luke Beasley Official, Instagram at Luke Beasley Official, Twitter or X at Luke P. Beasley, and sign up for the Beasley Brief, a daily morning newsletter that summarizes the previous day's events by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/brief. And I'll talk to you next time.